I'm back again as promised. This is episode 4 of the Design Space for Beginners tutorials. This episode is packed full of a lot of information. We're going to kind of pick up where we left off in episode 3. We're going to go over the fonts, like what you can do with your fonts as far as like line spacing, curving the font, alignment, how you can ungroup the words by letters, and also how you can ungroup by line. And then we are going to dive into our welding, contouring, flattening, attaching, and slicing. I try to give like 2 examples of each thing that you can do with the slicing, welding, contouring, and flattening. But I do want you guys to leave in the comments if there's anything else that you want to learn about those functions. I kind of get in my Facebook groups that people are a little afraid to use some of those functions. And so I want you guys to get really comfortable with Design Space because there are so many different things that you can do within the space. I mean, I guess that's why they call it Design Space, duh, because you got a lot of space to do a lot of work, okay? So again, this is going to be a little bit of a longer episode. Bear with me. It's packed full of information. I hope all good information. And again, leave in the comments if there's anything else that you would like to learn about those functions. So let's go ahead and head to the laptop, girls and boys. All right, you guys. So we are going to kind of pick up where we left off in episode 2. I want to kind of go over more of this section here that deals with your fonts because we didn't really cover that in episode 2. So what I want to do, let's start this over, that particular text. I want to go here and I'm just going to type in the word holla like we had before. Okay. Stop it, Design Space. It's being a little testy with me tonight. It looks like it just went through an update a little bit earlier. Okay, so we have that font here. We kind of went over how we would change, how you could change the font. If you don't recall, you can go here once your font is highlighted or once you start the text box. And you can change any font here that you like. You have System, you have Cricut that you can go to. What I want to do is I want to change this one to a script font just for us to work with. Change it back to that script font that we had it in. Okay, so we have our word holla and it's separated there. So now that we have it highlighted, we can go here to style. So certain fonts will give you different styles that you can do them in. So this one is either going to be regular or writing. Some other fonts, like if we click on this, yes, bitch, yes. It gives us regular, bold, italic, and so it will let us change the style, okay? And that's just gonna be how it actually shows up. So not every font will let you do that. As you see when we clicked on holla, we are only able to do that in regular or writing. And the writing is how the machine would actually make it look if it wrote it. Okay, and you see how it changed it. It went from that bold, and it actually looks like somebody may have really written that. Okay, and so that's pretty cool. So we're going to go back here. We'll change it back to regular. And then here, you can change your font size. You can also make the font bigger by just grabbing that button there, the double-sided arrow, and stretching it out. Okay, and you see how it changed our font size from 72 to 94.96. Also, with the word, if you go here, you can unlock it and you can make it smaller. You can stretch it out and make it longer. And so you can control the font from there as well. And you see how when we did that, it brought it down to 76.99, okay? And then we can lock it back and it will stay that size. So when I do this, it's just gonna make it bigger. It won't actually make it smaller like it did when I unlocked it. Here, this section is our letter space. So say we wanted to make the space smaller, and I think we kind of went over this in episode 2. You can go down And you see over there, it's loading. It's making the letters closer. Okay. So we can get those letters as close as we want them to be. And you can either click the down arrow, or if you know the actual size that you want to get it to, where the letters are actually together, you can keep going. Okay. I can keep going, because I want my letters to look like they're all connected. Okay, so -1.1 is the letter size, where that looks like, it's actually script. Anytime you're using script, you do want your letters to connect. It looks a lot more professional that way. Another way that you could accomplish that is to ungroup the letters and move them together separately. Now, if you were to do that, then you would have to use the weld function. And we're going to get into weld, attach, flatten, slice, and contour very shortly here, okay? Here, the line space. So let's open this one up, and I'm going to move this down, okay? Because it's going to give me 2 lines now. I'm going to click on it again. Bear with my design space again. It just went through some kind of update, so it's a little laggy. I can make the line space bigger, meaning the space in between the yes and the bit yes. Going negative, of course, I'm making it smaller. You see how that's coming up? So if I want it to be further apart, I can do it like that. And again, bear with me, it's loading over there. Okay, so you can do that from that line. Or what you can simply do is double click it, go up here, and you can go like that. Okay, now say you don't really want, that much space in between there. That's when line space would be very helpful for you because you can go, do the negative. Come on, design space, be nice. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring it up closer, okay? Eventually. Another cool feature on this line is alignment. This is how you can align your text. You can align it to the left. You can center it so that your words are centered. Or you can line it to the right, okay? This next function here, curve, you see how we have this highlighted? It will not allow us to curve it, and that's because we don't have it on one single line. There's 2 lines there, okay? Now, if we wanted to curve these words, we would have to separate them. And I'll show you how to separate these lines without ungrouping each letter, okay? But let's first go to the curve feature. So let's go to Craftz. And you see how curved is highlighted there because this is one line. And so say I wanted my words to curve around the picture. So I would highlight the words, go to curve. And I could curve it this way until I feel like it got around the picture the way I wanted it to be around the picture. Okay. I could bring it down more. Say I wanted it to be like that, okay? And then I could take this yes down here and I can curve it upward by going the opposite direction. I could go this way. Okay, and it'll give me the curve upward. Now, say when I curve it, I feel like my letters are too far apart, okay? I can then go to letter space here. This is another time that you can use this tool. It really does come in handy because sometimes design space is not the best when it comes to fonts, okay? So I can make the letter spaces smaller. Okay. You see how they are getting closer and closer to each other, but you see how this Y is like way off? I can fix that, but if I do it, then I'm not going to be able to use any of these functions anymore, okay? Unless I did it letter by letter. So, and we'll get into that again when we get into the weld attach flatten slice and contour, which is coming, I promise, promise, promise. So that is how you curve, okay? The advanced feature here, I'm gonna click on this. So here in advanced, you see how it says ungroup to letters. If I click on ungroup to letters, see over here, it ungrouped all of the letters, okay? Once I do that, I can only use the font toolbar down here by the letter. I can no longer use it by the word anymore. It's gonna be by the letter because I've ungrouped them, okay? So I'm gonna hit undo. I'm gonna click on it again. Now say I wanna keep my words, but what I want to do is I want to be able to have yes be in one font and bit yes be in another font. So if I wanted to do that, I can go to advanced again and I can go ungroup to lines. And when I do that, it's gonna give me 2 different lines for my words, okay? So now these words are no longer one. So I can edit this and change this one's font. Then I can go down here and change that one's font. And then, you know, they still be together in my sentence or whatever, but now they are separate lines, okay? And that is going to be it for our font line. Now we get into the nitty of the gritty. I have had a lot of requests for the difference in the function of slice, weld, attach, flatten, and contour. What do they do? What are they? When do I use them? When do I not use them? So we're gonna get into that, okay? So first, we're gonna go, you know, in a line. So with slice, when would I use slice? Why would I need to slice? So on and so forth. So in order to slice, you need 2 different shapes that have not been flattened. And we'll get to flatten, of course, when we get down to that 4th thing. But you need 2 shapes that are separate. You can do slice with pictures. You can do slice with SVGs. And so say if I just wanted my face, you know, I cut this picture out or whatever, but I just want my face. I don't want my hair down here or anything. I just want my face. So the best shape for me to use to be able to do that would be a circle. So I'm going to click on circle. It's going to open up the circle. I'm going to put it over my face. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to go ahead and press slice. Now what that does is it gives me my face. This part of the picture, I don't want anymore. I don't want this part. And now I just have my face, okay? Another practical use, let's go and get an image really fast. I showed a young lady how to do this earlier in one of my Facebook groups. there was a picture that she wanted to actually remove the Africa symbol from this SVG because she wanted to change the color. See, this is it's loaded up as a whole image. Okay, so there's nothing that I can do to alter it. Okay, and really I would kind of consider this a PNG, not an SVG, because most SVGs you can ungroup and you're able to do whatever you want to what's inside of the artwork area. So say I want to get out the Africa, right? Now, because this is all welded together like as a picture, there are two ways that I could do it. I could slice or I could contour, okay? So I will show you how you contour it once we get to contour. But you see, when I highlight it, it gives me, this is the only option that it gives me to contour, okay? But I wanna just slice the Africa out because it's easier. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna get a square. I'm gonna put the square over what I want. I'm gonna highlight it, and now you see what lights up. Now I can slice this, I can weld it, attach it, flatten it. Design Space lets you know what your limitations are by the picture, okay? So I'm gonna hit slice. It's actually going to give me 3 little copies here, right? Because I got this outline copy. I don't really want that. Okay. Now, what I can do with this is I can change the color and I can put it back there. This will make on a separate mat. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color to red. Okay. But say I wanted to jazz it up a little bit and I want to do it in a double layer. So I'm going to do green too. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Send this to front. Oh, come on, get out of my way. Design Space is like not great tonight. Sorry, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and group it. Now I stick that right there. Now that it's grouped, I can make it smaller so that it looks proportioned in there. Okay, now I've done that. So I put the slice to practical use in 2 different occasions, but say I wanted, you know, the L or the V or the E to be a different color, you can do the exact same thing and go ahead and get those colors changed if you like, okay? So that is slice. Leave anything in the comments if you want to know anything else about slice or, you know, why would you use it? But that's basically what it does. It literally slices anything that you need to be out of your artwork area, out of there, or like in this case, I wanted to make my face a circle, right? The first one. And then the second one, I wanted to go ahead and change the color of Africa. So I sliced it out of the love, and then I'm able to put it back so that it can print out on a separate mat. Another great function for slice would be to make things that are bigger than the actual mat. So say, for instance, let's take this out. We're gonna ungroup this, okay? So if you are unaware, when doing a print and cut, which I will go further in depth on print and cut, but I just wanna do this for splicing. You can only print and cut 9.25 by 6.75 on the Cricut machine. That's as big as it will let you print. Doesn't matter if you have a large format printer or not. That's just as big as Design Space will let you print. Well, slicing will help you get past that, okay? So say if I wanted to make this 15 by 15. Okay. Now I'm going to make my work area a little bit smaller so we can see it. Okay. And so you see that is at 15 by 15. Now, if I go to make it, I'm going to get rid of these just to clear our workspace. If I go to make it, first of all, let me put this, it's on a cut. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on a print. Now I'm going to go to make it. See, it tells me that my image is too large. I need to reduce my image less than 9.25 by 6.75. Okay. All right. Well, fine then. Okay. Remember, if you watched episode 1, we went over our X and Y panel. So in this case, because we want to make this a 15 by 15, we're going to have to slice this in pieces that will actually cut within Design Space. So what we can do is we can move it to the very top corner to make it easier for ourselves, okay? And know where our puzzle pieces are going to be. So we're going to slice this. We're going to take our square. What we're going to do is we're going to make this square 9.25 by 6.75, okay? So we're going to put that over our Africa. We're going to highlight it. And we're going to slice it. Okay. So that gave us our first piece. And we could use either of those, but I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. So that gave us our first piece. Okay, so that's our bottom piece. So then we are going to take another square. And this one, technically, because of the way it's shaped, you don't have to go up in the corner and do 0 by 0. But if you were making it a lot bigger, I would totally suggest that. 9.25 by 6.75. Okay. What we're going to do so we don't have to do that again is we're going to duplicate our box. We will probably need, we may just need one more, but we'll do duplicate of 2 just in case. Then we're going to come here. And we're going to slice it again. Well, all right, that's fine. It can come down. Design Space is just not my friend tonight. Okay, we're going to highlight it and we're going to slice it. I'm so sorry it's so slow tonight, you guys. Okay. Okay. Then we have our next one. And I'm going to try to get it as good as I can. You may have to turn it to the side. But you want to make sure that you try to get like even cuts when you're going. Then we're going to go here and we're going to slice it. And this piece is big enough for us not to have to slice. If we line it up, we have all even pieces. So there we have 3 pieces. So let me show you what happens when we go to make it. It's going to print out that puzzle for us, okay? And we can also do it as a cut if you wanted to cut this with paper to make a really big piece of artwork. But this is how you make things that are bigger than the mat, okay? Because the biggest Cricut mat you can get is 12 by 24. So 12 inches wide, 24 inches long. But we wanted to make this 15 by 15. And the only way to do that would be to slice our image. And so that's another practical use for slice. Other than, you know, taking things out of the picture, that's the main thing that I use it for. If I want to make things that are bigger than mat, or bigger than I can print. I mean, you could put this on a t-shirt. You could cut cardstock. You know, the possibilities are endless. You can do it in vinyl if you want to do a wall decal. You can make it as big as you want to make it, as long as you're willing to put together the puzzle, okay? And so if you were gonna make this really big, again, I would move my image up here to our X and Y position, so that you know where your pieces are gonna fall. Because if we were doing this bigger than 15 by 15, we would have more than 3 pieces, okay? So that is our slice, okay? Now we get into our next one, which is a weld. So, okay, we've sliced this and say, you know what, at this point, even though I did all that slicing, I do not want to have to deal with putting this together. I just want to put it back together. I don't even want to upload it again. So I'm going to go to Weld. And you see, welded my image back together, okay? Doesn't even look like I did any slicing or anything. And it's good that I, you know, lined everything up. So if I go to undo, and say I did this like this, right? And I lined up and I highlighted it and I went to weld. That's how it's going to weld it together, okay? And so weld is actually a good tool to build other shapes, okay? So I'm gonna put my triangle. I'm going to get a square. Okay. And I'm gonna build like a little makeshift house, you know, those little preschool houses they have us do when we're kids. Say I need to, you know, build this to put it on a shirt, or I want to cut this out or whatever. All right. Or even looks like an arrow. So I'm going to go here. Now, you see when I highlight this, it is allowing me to either slice, weld, attach, or flatten. So I'm going to weld it. Now that I've welded it, that is one piece, okay? And so say I really did, you know, want to make a house. I can go here. Design space, come on. I'm gonna highlight it again. You see, again, it's giving me slice, weld, attach, flatten. I'm gonna slice. Now I have a little opening like a door, okay? So once your image is welded, you are able to do certain things with it. When you want to weld text, once your text is welded, there's not much you can do. There's not much you can do to it but contour. You see, at this point, now that we've welded this, we can go to contour, but that's about all that we can do to it, okay? While it's by itself. Now, if I add another shape, to add this square, and I put this square on top, and I highlight again, it gives me those other options. So again, Design Space lets you know what you can and can't do. You just got to know how to work it. And hopefully with these tutorials, I am helping you learn how to do that. Okay. So let's see what happens when we weld our text. Okay. So again, we're going to do the cursive text. There. Okay. Now, say, I didn't want to deal with hitting the letter space to make the letters come closer. I just wanted to manually put them together. So I'm going to go ungroup, and I'm just going to bring them together the way that I want them. Say I wanted this one to be like this, or, whatever. Say I didn't want them to be straight. I wanted to be fancy in some kind of way. Okay. Now that I have those together, I'm going to go ahead and group them so that when I move the word around, it stays together. Now, because I have done that, you see that the option for the font toolbar does not pop up. I cannot curve this text. I cannot change the text now that it's grouped. Now, if I ungroup it, per letter, I can do that, okay? I can curve each letter, so on and so forth. However, because this is a script text and you've ungrouped and you've actually placed these letters on top of each other or under each other, that is the way the machine will cut it unless you weld it. Once you weld it, you're piecing everything together. Think of a welder with a torch and he's coming through and he's welding these letters together. So we're gonna go ahead and weld. You see here, we got this A. It's being funny style, how the A closed. So the only thing we could do here is we can contour. If we wanted to take another shape like a circle, we could slice there. Sometimes Design Space does this with letters, depending on how close you get the other letter in there. So let's undo that. Okay. Now see, let's see what happens when we do this. Now it went ahead and it let us weld without that black hole, okay? So it didn't like how close I had my L in there, okay? And if you notice here too, right there, there's an overlap in the L. So you wanna be careful when you're welding. What I like to do is I like to kind of use these squares when I'm actually doing a project to make sure that everything is straight. But again, remember that when you are ungrouping, if you don't wanna use the letter space, and you are going to end up welding your letters, you want to make sure that one letter doesn't overlap too much into the next, or you'll get that black space that you've seen when we did it before, okay? Now, I'm going to undo this. Again, in the comments, you can leave me any questions that you have about certain things as far as welding and, slicing, attaching, flattening, and contouring. If you feel like I didn't cover something that you might want to know or of functional use for those buttons, okay? So I showed you two different ways that we would use welding if we wanted to put shapes together. If we wanted to put our letters together, we can weld them, okay? So undo again, sorry, because I want to get rid of the weld. But you know what? I'm going to leave. Oh, I did. I was going to leave it, but it's fine. Okay. So now we're going to move on to attach. So I believe that attach sometimes eludes people like, well, why would I need to attach something? Or why would I want that? Why would I want to do that? So the beautiful thing about attaching that can help you, especially when you're working with smaller images. It's basically what attach does is it allows you to highlight something and attach it so that that is the way that it appears on the mat and the way that it prints or cuts out. Okay, so let me give you an example. So let's go and we'll just get any image. So we'll get this cute little thing here. And if we hit control, we can get her too. So if you want to do more than one image at a time, you press control and you click on the other image, kind of like you do in Microsoft Word. Now this little pretty thing is an SVG. You see all of the different things that we have here with her, okay? Let's use something else that is easier for me to show you with, because that's just giving me a pain. All right, let's use our Africa symbol. Well, Africa with the heart, darling. All right, so we'll duplicate this, all right? We see, I'm gonna hide our princesses really quick. So we got our two symbols here, and say I just go to make it, right? And it's just gonna it puts them on the mat right next to each other. Now from here, I can move it down, I can move it over here, you know, I can do whatever I want to do with it, okay, while it's on the mat. But say when it came to the mat, instead of me having to do all of that I wanted them to go to the mat one on top of each other. This is how I want them to go to the mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight them and I'm going to go to attach. Now when I go to make it, puts them exactly where I want them to be, okay? If you say, you know, you want to use as much room as you can on your mat, sometimes Design Space just decides where it feels like it, you know, it wants your stuff to go. But that's what attached is basically used for, so that it shows up on the mat that way, okay? To detach it, we just press detach. Okay. Another thing that it's good for is say that, you know, you were making nail decals out of these and you made them really, really small. Okay. Now that's going to be very, very hard to weed. And when you go to make it, it's just going to pop up on the mat where it wants it to. You see how close that is? That would be hard to cut out and weed. And so that's another good thing that attach is used for. I want them to have, you know, this much space on the mat. So when I highlight it and I attach it, that's exactly the way it's going to look when it goes to the mat. It's going to give me the space that I need. Again, you can accomplish that by just, you don't even have to press attach if you don't want to. You can just, you know, get on the mat and you can move everything around. But see, now that this is attached, that's how it's going to print out, just like that. Okay, or cut, that's how it's going to cut, just like that. You see when you move it, it's moving together because they're attached. That's another good way also to get things together without having to weld them. If you wanted to stay, because I could take these, you see how I could weld them? And they're, you know, they would be welded, and the only thing I could do to get rid of the other one is to either slice it or contour it. Okay, so we're going to detach those. We kind of skipped ahead of ourselves when we went to flatten. We flattened our little princesses here, but I'm going to kind of go back over it. So when we pick these from Design Space, I'm going to unflatten her. Okay. And even though I went up and I made her a print, because she is an SVG and she comes in several different pieces, it literally wants to print all of these different pieces, which you can do if you want to construct her out of paper. Like if you want to build her, if you want to do a paper craft where You just didn't want to print her out. Say you want to do some kind of crafting project with the kids in your classroom, or, you know, have a crafting day with your children. You can print out each of these, or you can cut each of these with vinyl. Now, if you wanted to just put her on a t-shirt or a makeup bag or a makeup tray, you can highlight her. And once you go to flatten, you see on the side, all of her pieces went away and she just became one piece, okay? And so when we go to make it, this is basically going to want to print her out. And it's gonna print her out just like this as a solid picture, okay? She's too large of one printer, but you get the idea. It's gonna print her out as a solid picture, okay? Also, say you wanted to add something to her. Okay, so I'm gonna ungroup her and say, I wanted to make them, again, design space. Come on now. You know, big right there together. And then down a little bit. And I say I want them to print out together like that, okay, on my mat. I can attach them. Flatten them. Flatten. And you see what happened when I went to flatten with them together? So they will actually print out together on my sheet. So how it looks here in this section is how it's going to print out on my sheet. Okay, so I know that this is way too big. And it looks so small because I have the mat on 25%. So I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. Bring them over. Now I'm gonna go to make it just to show you guys how they look. And now I've made it where they're attached. So when it goes to cut, it's gonna like cut this little area with them together. They won't really be a separate image because they're attached and then they're flattened. So that's how they're gonna print out, okay? And that's actually pretty cute. I might make a coaster out of that or something. I'm gonna go to cancel. Now say we didn't want them to be together anymore. We're gonna unflatten them as a whole. And now see, they're still stuck together. So now we have to detach them. Okay. And again, I know that there's a big thing around attach. To say the difference between, you know, attach and group, okay? If I just group them, they'll be in the group together, right? And so here, I can flatten them and I can attach them. But if I don't attach them and I just go to make it, that's how it's gonna print them out, okay? I'm gonna go to cancel. Okay, then I can kind of get rid of them for a second. So that's what flatten is good for. Flatten is good for creating pictures, putting your artwork together, okay? And I mean, you could do beautiful things with that flatten. You could take any picture that you find on Google, any picture that you find in Design Space. You can work with, you know, attach and flatten and
you can get it to print out just beautiful stuff. You know, think outside of the box, make it your own, make everything your own. I always say that. And it's good for just practicing. Practice, practice, practice. That's one thing that you will always hear me say is practice. Okay. So now, because I want to move on to the contour, I'm going to weld this word. Okay. You see, when you weld, it just comes right up there. Now it's not separated. It's all one word. My font toolbar is not going to pop up there. The only thing that I can do is I can contour. Okay. So I click on contour. What does contour do? Contour removes things that I do not want within the picture. So I can click on the H. If we go back and look, it removed the H. Okay. Say I want the H to be another kind of script. I want the H to be watermelon script. Let's actually make it a capital. Here's the word. Now I don't know what the heck I did with my H. Hold on. My H just disappeared on me? There it goes. That's another cool trick. If you lose something, you can kind of just click it over here and it'll take you to it. But, so let's say that that's what I want my H to be. Okay. Now, I can weld this. I can attach it if I just want it to print out. If I just wanted to line up like this and cut this way on the mat. If I was making this for a client, I would actually move that just a little bit closer so that it would look seamless, kind of like the other ones. But if I want this to cut out this way, I can go ahead and weld again, okay? And I'm just kind of trying to show you guys like just functional functions for these. A lot of people are kind of scared of these buttons down here, but they really do help you get certain things done, okay? Another function of contour, I want to show you contour on an image. So there's one image that I like to contour all the time when I am making like my little rolling trays or my beauty trays, which I have a video dropping this Wednesday on how to make beauty trays. That's going to be sponsored by SVGOnDemand.com. So please come back for that. But let me type in this rounded square. Okay, this one. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to insert image. Now, there are only certain things that I want from this image, okay? I don't want it to look like a clock. I really just want the outside. I just want this part, okay? So I don't want any of these lines, okay? So I'm gonna go to contour, because as you can see, it's a picture. It's not an SVG. I can't do anything else with it but contour it. I'm gonna take this. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that. And I'm going to take that. Okay. Now it just leaves me with this. Okay. And that's the part that I wanted. If I go in and I press contour again, I can bring the things back that I want to come back. X out. Now I brought those cutouts back. Okay. So that's a great function for contour. If you weld something and you want to get rid of it, or if you go into Design Space, the Cricut Access, and you're looking at the images and there's something about the image that you actually want to remove, and it only gives you the option to contour, you can do that. Okay, so say if I clicked on this one, just to give you another example. And I clicked on contour. That's not what I want to contour, Lovey. I want to contour this one. Contour. It's breaking it down in all the pieces. Okay. And so say, you know, I wanted this, but I don't want that part. And I don't want these lines. So when I click off of it, you can kind of tell what it's doing over here in that corner. It's going to give it to me not as an outline, but as a complete thing, okay? And if there's something that I'm like, you know what, I really don't like the way that looks, I can go back in. And if I click on it again, sorry, Design Space is so slow today. I click on it again, it's going to give it back to me, basically. Okay, so you see how it took away the blackness and it gave me back just the outline that I wanted. So that's basically what contouring is good for. A little bit earlier, we did the love image that was in the Black History portion. You can also use contour for that. I could have contoured the picture of Africa out of that PNG or picture, whatever you want to call it. But instead I chose to slice it because slicing to me is just easier. With contouring, you have to know exactly what it is you would like to remove from the picture. You can always use this window to see how it's turning out, or just X out of it and actually look to see what's been removed, okay? And that's why you can always go back in and add it back if you want to, okay? For our next Design Space tutorial, we are going to be working with our print and cut function. We're going to work with So I know this video was another one of the long ones. I tried to keep them short, but this one had a lot of information packed into it. Again, if there's anything else that you would like to learn about the slice, weld, attach, flatten, or contour functions, please leave that in the comments and I can go over it. Episode 4 is going to drop on Thursday, Design Space for Beginners. And on that day, I'm going to have a special surprise announcement for you guys. Again, episode 4, Design Space for Beginners, will drop on Thursday, and I am going to have a
Woo, child. We made it through that episode. I told y'all at the beginning it was going to be packed full of information. Again, please leave in the comments if there's anything else you want to learn about those functions, whether it be the text, flattening, contouring, attaching, welding. I'm here to help you navigate through the beauty that is Design Space. Again, I apologize for how slow Design Space was tonight, but I did want to get this video out to you guys. Videos for the tutorials drop Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. On Wednesdays and Fridays, I am going to be doing other crafts for people that aren't so much beginners, but beginners can watch too, because I'm going to try to do the crafts that go over the functions that I just taught in the tutorials on those Tuesdays and Thursdays, okay? So on Wednesday will be the next video. That is tomorrow. And we are going to be making beauty trays, a beauty tray set. A lot of people are using the sets for rolling tray sets. Not everybody takes a little bit of the puff puff. It's legal in California, so I can say that because I take a little bit of the puff puff. But you can also use them as beauty tray sets, and they come out really, really, really pretty. And so that's going to be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Please, please, please subscribe and save. In Thursday's episode of the Design Space tutorial for beginners, I am going to dive more into the print and cut. Again, the print and cut. And then Friday's episode that's going to drop at 3 p.m. I'm going to teach you how to make a complex label. That's just going to be a wonderful episode. Also, I'm rambling now, but anyways, on on Wednesday, on Thursday, when I drop the Design Space tutorial, episode 5. No, it's episode 4. It's going to be episode 4. I'm getting ahead of myself. You can tell I have like a little planner with all these episodes planned out for you guys, but it's going to be episode 4. Episode 4 drops on Thursday, 3 p.m. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a special announcement that day. Again, on Thursday, it's going to be a special announcement. So if you don't want to miss it, please hit the subscribe button so you can get that little ding, 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 ding to let you know that Gucci's Crazy Self has another video for you to watch. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.